Oh, did you see the trailer for The Nun 2 dropped?
Yes, I did see that.
That spooky bitch, she loves popping out of artwork.
Yep.
As soon as I saw that scene where all the magazine covers are like, oh, they're gonna do it again, aren't they? They're gonna have her pop out of something. And sure enough, right at the end, I was like, oh, 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 trailer.
I know. I mean, based on that, I might have to go see it.
Oh, there's no place like home for the holidays. And no matter how far away you roam, if you pine for the sunshine of a friendly gaze, for the holidays you can.
Welcome back to Horror for the Holidays, a Christmas horror movie podcast. I'm Jay Logsdon.
And I'm a cave mutant.
I mean, that's true, but you're also Jeff.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, before we start, Jeff, do you wanna rake me over the coals for what happened on this week's episode?
Oh. What specifically for this time?
That I vetoed the movie that we were supposed to watch.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to reveal the title of what was stolen from you people. Just know that it would have been the greatest movie of all time.
It might have been. When we inevitably get to it, it might be. We watched the trailer of this movie that we're not going to reveal, and like we read the synopsis, and the only thing was that it said like December 25th in the thing. There were no images of like Christmas trees or Christmas lights, and I'm just like, this looks bad.
So just remember that it's Jay's fault we're trapped alive.
Yep. So for this week's episode, we watched 1988/1993's Trapped Alive.
No one's quite sure when it came out, but it definitely did somewhere in there.
Also maybe called just Trapped.
It's been called Trapped. It's also been called Forever Mine.
Yep. Forever Mine was the original title, the working title.
So if you ever get anything labeled one of those three titles, put it down and run away.
I think what I found is that like they made the movie in 1988 and then it was shelved until like a video distributor came along in 1993.
That's pretty much what I found. Yeah, it was definitely filmed at some point in the winter of 1988, and then yeah, it kind of just sat around for a while.
Writer-director, Leszek Berzinski has a few credits, but did appear in an episode of Tim and Eric Awesome Show. Great job. Which was the most important thing on that list to me. I mean, I think he'd been in other horror movies, but more importantly, Tim and Eric Awesome Show. Great job. Sweet Berry Wine. The other writer, Julian Weaver, has even fewer credits than Mr. Berzinski.
And for good reason.
But was the writer on Chill Factor in 1989, which is kind of a movie that's always piqued my interest. It's one of those where it's like, it takes place at winter time, but I don't know if it's actually Christmas.
Well, close enough. Most of these movies really just take place at wintertime anyway.
Well, I mean, at least it's got to have Christmas lights or something. I mean, when we get to the dorm that drips blood, we'll really be scraping the bottom of the barrel for biggest star of the movie, Cameron Mitchell, who plays John Adams, not that one. The father of our main character, Robin. Cameron Mitchell is a character actor with appearances in things like Hawaii Five-0 and Macmillan and Wife.
And Samurai Cop.
Sullivan. Oh, man, is it Sullivan? Hold on.
Sullivan Hester.
Sullivan Hester. I didn't remember if it's Sullivan or Sylvia, who plays our main character, Robin. This is her only credit on IMDb, only listed credit.
Well, so I was trying to figure out, it's like, okay, they called this girl Robin through the entire movie. Why is there no Robin in the credits?
Because her name is also Lucy.
Her name is Lucy Adams. Apparently Robin is like a nickname.
At one point, like, the At one point, her dad is like, "Oh, my daughter Lucy. Well, you might know her as Robin," and that's the only.
Oh, do you mean during the 10-minute long weird scene where he sits around at home and talks to himself?
I do mean that long 10-minute weird scene.
We got to get this thing to feature length, baby.
But I wonder what Sullivan Hester is doing now. Like,
I don't know.
just
Confusing people with her odd name.
just really weird that like this is her only credit. It's the same for Laura Kaleson, who plays Monica's friend, or Robin's friend Monica. Monica's friend Robin.
Yes. We don't know who anybody is anymore.
For My Wife and Her Alone, Mark Witzkin, who plays Randy, our Hot Rod
I was
boy,
going to say, you're talking about Hot Rod?
was a producer on the Jensen Ackles movie 10-Inch Hero, which my wife really likes.
Oh, yeah? Well, what about Mungo, played by Michael Nash?
Oh God, I loved Mungo. He was the real star of our movie.
Hashtag R.I.P. Mungo.
Randolph Powell, who plays Billy Williams, the police officer, had reoccurring roles on like Dallas and the Logan's Run TV series, and is from Iowa City.
Nice. Don't forget Alex Kubik, a.k.a. Face, a.k.a. Louis Napoleon, a.k.a. Pretentious Man.
The actor who played our mutant cannibal, Paul Dean, appears in an episode of Star Trek Enterprise and in Annabelle Comes Home.
He probably appears in both those movies longer than he did in this one.
Filmed in Wisconsin at the Windsor Lake Studio, which produced some of the early Fangoria films. And I only mention that because at some point the Fangoria label put out the movie One Hell of a Christmas and Joe Begos' VFW.
Well, with credits like that, they must be a quality establishment.
But I believe that studio is now defunct.
What? No.
We got our copy of this from Arrow Video, same place that you can get The Leech.
Which, shout out to them. Nice quality restoration of the movie.
Yeah, and Arrow, Vinegar Syndrome, all those places, they all do a really good job. Enough decking the halls. Do we want to get into it?
Well, if you want to get into this, you're gonna have to lower me into position on my rickety old lift.
All right, I'm gonna get Jeff here into his claw machine and get him into position. All right, we start off with a prison break. There's an extended sequence of a guard just walking around.
Well, you know, I remember what I said earlier about getting this baby to feature length. There's a lot of that in this one.
And then all of a sudden he gets strangled by Mungo.
Yes.
We don't know the guy's name is Mungo yet, but
it is Mungo.
That's going to be our star of the movie, Mungo. We cut to a Christmas party. John Adams tells his daughter, Robin, that it's getting late and maybe she should just stay home. But Monica's friend Robin, who's also John's assistant secretary, is there to pick up Robin to go out to a party.
You wonder what she's assisting her father with.
It is kind of heavily implied, I think, at one point that like Monica is sleeping with Robin's dad. Back at the prison, we are introduced to our prisoners. We got Face, we got Mungo, and we got Hot Rod Boy.
Fucking Hot Rod Boy. We're gonna need a Hot Rod Boy.
We spent most of the movie until we learned Hot Dog Boy.
Hot Dog Boy.
Hot Rod Boy's real name. We spent most of the movie just being like, I thought his name was Hot Rod Boy. We are now cut between like scenes of the girls in their car driving to this party along like an icy, frozen over road.
Yep. We're going to the big party.
Interspersed with scenes of the prisoners escaping, and we get a nice kind of instrumental of We Three Kings as the three prisoners escape across like a snowy landscape.
I don't want to spoil this for you, listeners, but this is the most exciting part of the movie.
We then, of course, you know, the girls pass by because they're passing by a prison. They pass by a sign that says, "Hey, don't pick up hitchhikers."
Yep.
So of course they're driving along, and oh, that guy's car looks like it's stalled or something. And Monica gives Robin a gun, like, hey, if they try anything, don't hesitate to shoot them.
Yeah, because it's like up to that point, there's like no indication that she would have a gun or that she would need one for anything. That just, randomly pulls one out of the glove box. Here, keep us safe.
And it's Face that flagged him down, and then Hot Rod Boy appears at one window, and Mungo appears at the other window, and they're able to force their way inside the car and
of
kidnap
course,
the girls.
Mungo was able to force his way in the car. He has superhuman strength.
Yeah, he's able to lift the car off the road. We get some radio play of like the talk about the prisoners escaping.
Oh, 3 dangerous fugitives escaped. Definitely don't pick them up in your car.
At one point, Face starts to go through Monica's purse.
Yeah.
And he like pulls out a lighter and gives it to Mungo, I think. And then he pulls out a pair of underwear. And then he's like, oh, if these are in your purse, what are you wearing? And then it turns out she's also just wearing underwear. Yeah. But, they start to assault Monica.
Yeah. He and Mungo are like, oh, it's been a long time. Yeah, it sure is.
I'm pretty sure Mungo's never been with a woman, but
I'm guessing probably not.
There's a roadblock ahead. So Face tells Hot Rod Boy to pull off at the Forever Mine.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know a way, I know a shortcut.
Like all good horror movies, I know a shortcut.
At the Forever Mine, they keep calling Hot Rod Boy asshole for some reason, which is weird because I thought his name was Hot Rod Boy.
Oh my god, the way they have the Face guy talk is like insane. Like he'll just be randomly talking normally and then he'll be like, asshole at the end of his sentence.
So weird. They drive past like a house and we get like a scene inside the house where this lady is laying awake smoking a cigarette and like her husband's laying it. Well, we learn it's her husband, but there's just a guy sleeping in bed next to her.
Yeah, just chilling.
The car winds up on like this slippery set of ground right above kind of the cave entrance, the entrance to the mine.
Starts sliding forward.
And Hot Rod Boy's like, we need to stay still. And Mungo goes, I'm not staying where I'm not wanted.
Yeah.
And he goes to get up and the car just goes straight into the mine.
Oh,
and Mungo goes flying through the windscreen.
Oh, Mungo. And then he gets like the most superficial looking injury possible. And then they're like, oh, Mungo's dead.
The car is going to explode and Hot Rod Boy goes back for Robin while Face tells him not to bother. That she's dead meat Romeo, which is weird because I thought his name was Hot Rod Boy, not Romeo.
I thought his name was Asshole.
I also think at one point he calls him Punk.
So Mungo gets like a scratch on the top of his head and dies. And then for some reason the car catches on fire and is going to explode even though they didn't hit anything that would have caught it on fire.
Yeah. And then the explosion causes them to fall further into the mine.
Oh no, we're trapped in this forever mine.
And all this commotion has alerted local police officer Billy Williams, who's driving down the street to go check out the Forever Mine.
Instead of actually investigating the crime, he's going to be investigating something else.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that soon enough. Back at the Christmas party, John offers a toast and wishes everyone love, peace, and happiness, to which everyone responds in the most monotone voice possible. Love, peace, and happiness. Ah ha 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 ha.
Yep.
I don't know why. I just thought it was so weird.
His name's probably not even John Adams. It's probably just his cult leader name.
And then he talks to his like he turns around and talks to like the picture of Robin and her mom. Like, and he's like, oh, to friends that aren't here anymore. And I think at some point we learned that Robin's mom passed away like earlier that year or something like that.
But is it actually a veiled reference to the fact that he knows his daughter is trapped in the mine?
So as the mine collapses further and everyone goes down a big slide, whee!
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, that's what it looks like. Is it just everyone sliding down the slide?
No one even looks remotely bothered by the fact that they're sliding down into this mine.
We then get this scene where like everyone's face is silhouetted.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of yelling at each other across the mine because there's no light, but it looks really strange. It was certainly a choice.
Shut up, asshole. No, you shut up. Mungo is dead.
And I think at one point Monica says like she feels something moving around and then they're able to get some light in, and she's like sitting next to Mungo's corpse. And we learn, R.I.P. Mungo.
Yep.
Our hero.
Mungo got bonked on the head and died. There you
go. Back on the surface of the mine.
Oh, boy.
Officer Billy Williams tries to get help, tries to call the operator, the dispatcher.
Yes, he either can't get a signal or the thing is busy.
The woman in the cabin flirts with him at first, and then very quickly they just start fucking.
Yeah, it didn't take much flirting for Officer Billy there.
Just like it goes from like her being like, "Oh, do you want to try these cookies I made?" while like wearing a bathrobe that's very loose fitting, to like the very next scene they're laying on top, like he's laying on top of her, like.
Would you like to try these cookies I baked? You want to fuck?
I think at one point he's like, did you feel the earth move earlier? Like, that's what alerted me to come up here. And she's like, I've never felt the earth move.
Yeah.
It's like, easy there, Blanche. In the mine, Face and Hot Rod Boy try to open a gate, but the gate's too heavy for them to open by themselves.
If only they had Mungo.
They find a supply room with lamps and a generator, which could probably bring some light to the area.
But the generator's busted.
Yep.
But Hot Rod Boy can fix it. Get to it, asshole.
So Hot Rod Boy goes back to find Mungo, who had Monica's lighter from earlier in the movie.
Yep.
And when he finds Mungo's corpse, it's been torn apart, and his face has all been eaten, and his chest is all busted open.
Oh, my God.
And we get kind of a jump scare scene.
Yeah, pretty much.
Officer Williams, after I think fucking the woman in the cabin again.
Yep.
Because at one point she's like, "Oh, well, you know how to get to the mine shaft, don't you?" You go down, and she starts like going down his body. And then she's like, and then when you get to the shaft, and then you just see like Officer Williams' eyes cross as he starts getting his dick sucked.
Mm-hmm.
So Officer Williams rappels into the mine, and someone cuts the rope that he's rappelling with.
Dun, dun, dun.
I mean, there were only two people on the surface, and one of them was asleep. I'll let you guess which one it was.
Yeah, it's a big mystery.
Face quotes Rush lyrics to Monica.
Yeah, that's weird.
And tries to get her to strip for him. He says, like, "We are the priests of the Temple of Syrinx.
Yeah.
All the gifts of life are held within our halls." No, that's not it.
No.
It's off a different album.
Yeah, I think it's part of Limelight or something.
No,
like that.
I think it's "Why Are We Here? Because We're Here. Roll the Bones."
Oh yeah,
Roll
that's
the
right.
Bones.
That's right. He's trying to get her to strip to roll the bones.
No, he quotes that Shakespeare. All the world's indeed a stage. Officer Williams meets Hot Rod Boy. Turns out his name is Randy, which is weird because I thought his name was Hot Rod Boy.
I thought his name was Asshole or Punk.
Officer Williams stops Face from further assaulting Monica, and they handcuff him to a gate. Well, to the gate they're struggling to get open. Hot Rod Boy and Robin get the generator working, and they kind of talk about everything. Hot Rod Boy tells her that the reason he's been in prison is because Face and Mungo needed someone to drive them to like rob a bank or something.
I was just the getaway driver.
Yeah, and then and it was supposed to be easy, but Face pulled a gun and shot somebody, and then they accidentally killed a kid. And so Face and Mungo were serving like 30 years or something like that, and Hot Rod Boy was only going to get 8, and then 4 with good behavior, but because Face needed to escape, and they needed a Hot Rod Boy to get him out.
We needed a Hot Rod Boy.
I think at one point earlier on, Mungo's like, "We don't need him, Face. I can drive." And he's like, "Nails, maybe. We need a Hot Rod Boy."
Yeah.
And so that's why they took Hot Rod Boy with them. And Robin tells him that oh, my dad's a lawyer. He can help you get out. He can help you get out and blah blah blah. And she clearly sees the good in Hot Rod Boy, regardless of everything that's happened.
Yeah. Well, I love how that's implied too, that he's like, they call him Hot Rod Boy and everything, but it's like, this is just some guy they knew who could drive a car halfway decently.
Yep. Some kind of baby driver.
It's like, we need somebody who can actually drive a car, because obviously Mungo can't, and I'm too good for it. So
yeah, Face doesn't need to drive a car.
Yeah.
Officer Williams tries. Oh no! Before that, we get this, like, Face keeps like taunting Monica and stuff like that, and then at one point, this very slow moving claw machine just comes down.
Yeah.
And like grabs Face and starts to pull him up.
Oh,
and
God, it is so slow.
and it's just like, you just hear like, like the whole time.
Literally, people just stand there and watch him get hauled up incredibly
I think
slowly.
Officer Williams like reaches for his keys to go like unlock him and drops it in the dirt.
Yeah.
And like by the time that like he's spent like 5 minutes looking for it.
He's spent 5 minutes looking for it, and the guy's feet are still visible. That's
Yep.
how slow this thing is moving.
And then we see Face slowly get lifted up into the like further up into the mine. And then we see this weird cannibal mutant grab a hold of Face and rip out his throat.
We see like 2 seconds of the cannibal mutant.
And is like wreathed in shadow.
We're not going to get a good look at him for a while now.
Officer Williams has like a brief, I don't know, like hallucination where he like is talking to Monica, but it turns out that she's the mutant, and which is weird because I don't think he saw what the mutant looked like.
No, he definitely did not see what the mutant looked like. And yeah, I don't know what the hell that scene was. It must have been like cut from a larger sequence or something.
Officer Williams tries the emergency phone, and the woman that he just finished fucking up in the cabin like mercilessly mocks him while he's on the phone with her.
Help, please, I'm trapped in the mine.
Monica is able to steal Billy Williams' gun by flirting with him.
Yeah.
Man, this guy must have thought like, oh man, all these women want me.
I was going to say, wow, this uniform really does work.
They're able to like use a lever system to get the gate open. And I think Robin goes under, and then Hot Rod Boy, and then Officer Williams goes under, and like, but keeps his like ankle underneath.
Yeah.
For some reason.
That way he can be injured, so the mutant has a chance to kill them.
Yeah, that way when Monica goes to like hand the coat that she was wearing, like underneath it, knocks the pipe away and injures his ankle.
Well, we have to have him injured because when we find out the mutant's weakness later, it'd be too much to have an able-bodied cop there.
And then, everyone else is on one side of the gate, and Monica's screaming for them to get it open because she's trapped on the other side. And we just slowly watch the mutant like walk up behind her.
Very slowly. It's like the mutant almost didn't know she was there, just stumbled into her by accident.
We get like a scene of Robin's dad kind of walking around his house.
Oh
this is the scene Jeff was talking about earlier.
It goes on forever. Just Cameron Mitchell standing around talking to himself, basically.
That he calls I think he calls the frat house or the house that the party was supposed to be at, and the guy's like, oh, well, Mr. Mitchell, they never showed up.
They never even made it to the party.
So then he hangs up and he calls the cops and alerts them to the fact that everyone's missing.
Which you think they would know by now because they have an officer that hasn't checked in for hours at this point.
They find a pool of water somewhere in the mine, and Robin goes to explore the water by taking off the dress she's wearing, but leaving on all of her jewelry.
Like you do.
But it still has to cover her modesty by by wearing white, like white satiny underwear.
Yeah, God.
She dives under, and there's like this great scene where it's like she just went in the water, and then Hot Rod Boy's like, "How long she been down there?" And literally, she just went in. Yes. And how long? Oh, about a minute. And then. Well, how long do you think she could last? Oh, the average person could last holding their breath is 2 minutes. Which is, not accurate.
That's not, most people can't even hold their breath 30 seconds, let alone 2 minutes.
And then he's like, well, how long's it been since, how long's it been again? He's like, well, probably 2 minutes now. And it's been maybe 10 seconds of dialogue total.
Oh my God. Well, the reason he's so concerned is because there's a mutant in the water with her.
Yep. Then the mutant jumps up and grabs Hot Rod Boy, pulling him into the water.
Yep.
And then very calmly, Robin gets out of the water. Her hair is soaking wet, but her underwear is bone dry.
Yep. Her grandma underwear.
Yeah. It just passed right by them as they went in the water. So she turns around, and and she's like, "Oh, where's Hot Rod Boy?" And he's like, he went in the water, and they just missed each other.
Then they burst up through the water.
Yeah,
it's the mutant and Hot Rod Boy.
Yep, the mutant tries to grab Robin too, and they're able to get like a spear or something, like a pipe, and ram it through the mutant's face.
Turns out the mutant's weakness is being killed.
And I was going to say the mutant and Robin, Hot Rod Boy and Robin kiss. And then the mutant's body bubbles back up to the top of the water.
And you think like, oh, maybe the mutant's not dead. No, he's dead.
No, he's dead.
He's just floating there. He's literally just a guy. He's a guy who's been living down here in this mine.
And then the woman in the cabin appears at the entrance to the area they're in.
You killed my father.
Yep, and tells the whole story that the
Yes.
mutant's her daddy.
I was going to say, yes, now we'll get the entire backstory that would have been helpful for the movie. But now we'll just have some lady narrate it over the course of 5 minutes at the end.
No, her daddy ran the mine, and one day there was a mine collapse, trapping everyone inside, kind of like My Bloody Valentine, just much worse.
Yeah, much, much worse.
And so she's like, I knew he was down there. My daddy was too strong to. And she's like, and so I wound up buying the mine, even though it was collapsed, and I got married, and my husband's the caretaker of the mine, but my daddy's been down here this whole time, and he's a good man, even though he eats people.
And it's implied basically that she lures people here for him to eat.
Yep. And so then she says, well, now that my daddy's dead, I've turned this whole place into a tomb.
Yeah.
And she's rigged up a bunch of bombs.
Which I had joked about like 2 minutes before she said it. I'm like, now she's probably going to collapse the whole mine. And she's like, now I'll collapse this mine into my dad's tomb.
It is at this moment that Officer Williams, who has already fucked this woman, by the way.
Yes, multiple times.
Goes, what's your name? And she goes, Rachel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the classic Giga Chad move, isn't it? Have sex with her twice, then be like, what's your name?
What's your name, baby?
Oh, yeah, no, he's like, oh, well, obviously I'll take advantage of this clearly psychotic woman and try to win her trust so you guys can escape.
Yeah, Officer Williams kind of, is able to distract her long enough for Robin, still in her underwear, and Hot Rod Boy to escape from the mine, while Officer Williams and Rachel get entombed inside as the explosion goes off.
Yeah, well, he died doing what he loved.
Hot Rod Boy and Robin arrive on the surface, even though it's snowy out, and I think like Robin's like still in her underwear this whole time, and like immediately he appears and is arrested by the police.
Yeah. Which you gotta wonder, how did none of these police hear this blast and come try to check what happened?
No, yeah, it took them like so long, and it took them so long to show up, and then we like Robin is put into one car, like with her dad, and Hot Rod Boy's put into the other car, and they kind of look at each other and like put their hands on the windows, and then the two cars drive in opposite directions from each other. And
Just absolutely fucking terrible.
as Robin's dad agrees that he'll represent Hot Rod Boy in the trial.
The trial, yeah, it's like, I'm pretty sure you did break out of prison, so I don't know really what the mitigating circumstances are going to be.
And then we get one last scene of the claw machine slowly moving around the mine.
Oh my god.
Before our end credits roll, and we get our love ballad "Forever Mine" play.
Forever mine.
You'll be forever mine on the warm side of the door.
And you won't have to be trapped in the mine by yourself.
Oh man, it's a real slow jam.
Ugh, God. Yet another one of these terrible movies with its terrible, stupid ending song.
So
This is all Jay's fault, remember? This is why we were trapped alive.
this is why we got trapped alive. Do you have anything you want to talk about before we get into our minutia?
Yeah. No more movies set in Canada, Wisconsin, Minnesota, or in the upper Northeast.
I know it will at least have one more set in Wisconsin. I was going to bring it up in a little bit.
Oh, you better not. You're terrible.
All right. Well, where do you want to start with for this?
Oh, let's talk about the set decorations. There were none. Okay.
I was going to say Christmas sweater, costumes and sets. I was going to say Officer Williams looks like a Wisconsin cop.
Yeah, I was going to say he looks very Wisconsin or maybe Southern Canadian.
And then I thought the mine looked kind of cool.
Yeah,
Like-
I mean, I guess, yeah, they set it up decently, but the weird part is being lost in this ancient mine shaft down here. There only seems to be 2 rooms we keep moving between.
Like, it's not My Bloody Valentine where like
No.
they actually, I think they shot in a mine.
In a mine, you can definitely tell the difference. This does not look like that.
No, it looks like a very like staged kind of set.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I thought they did a pretty good job with it. But yeah, it shows the difference between. Well, I mean, we couldn't find the budget of this.
It was. I saw anything from 750,000 to a couple million.
Okay.
Depending on different people's estimates, but it was not very much.
Versus, movies like My Bloody Valentine, which were big releases and stuff like that.
But this never even got a theatrical release.
Yep.
This was just a home video release, and it shows. It's not, honestly, the problems with this movie are not the costumes or the sets or anything like that. It's the fact that, one, it doesn't deliver on its promise of being trapped alive with a cannibal mutant, because the cannibal mutant is in this, maybe 2 minutes of screen time total. And the parts that he is on screen, 90% of that is him being slowly raised and lowered on this rickety old lift.
It's just like a guy with like a bunch of like dust like all over his face, like
some weird hair or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, no, he moves incredibly slowly on this comically slow lift, and then you see him basically his feet dangling on that for a little while. He attacks, but the first attack is completely in shadow, so you can't even tell what he looks like. And then basically when he shows up behind that girl for 2 seconds, and when he pops up out of the water to get stabbed through the face, they're the only times you see him. And literally, out of the 3 times you see him, the 3rd time he gets killed by just being stabbed.
There was one guy at the Christmas party, I think, who was wearing like a yellow shirt and had a mustache, and I think he was my favorite guy in the whole movie, besides Mungo.
It's mustache guy.
All right, moving on. Do you want to do Christmas Carol's favorite quotes?
I guess.
All right. I got I mentioned it earlier. I got Mungo. I can drive face. Yeah, nails maybe. No, what we need is a hot rod, boy.
I also picked that one.
When Monica's wheels start spinning on the frozen road, she goes, "Shit, fuck, damn."
Yep. The classic. I just added it because it was so cliche, and we knew it was coming like 5 minutes before he actually said it. But the guy, when he answers the phone, and they're like, "Robin and Monica never got to the party." Like, yeah, gee, you think.
And then when John Adams like goes to hang up the phone, you can still, "Mr. Adams, are you there?"
Yes. Oh God. But yeah, I know I had this from the sex scene with Officer Billy Williams, where she's like, "I've never felt the earth shake before."
Right.
It's like R.I.P. her husband.
Got another right. That was my exact thought. Mungo's got a line where he goes, "I ain't never killed a bitch before."
Yeah. I had that line. I also had Mungo's, "I ain't staying where I ain't wanted."
Oh man, good old Mungo. He deserved better. There was this exchange, which I just thought was so funny. Robin says to Officer Williams, she's like, "You're not the judge or the jury, are you, officer?" To which Billy responds, "No, ma'am. I wouldn't want to be. I'm not even smart enough."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've not seen a cell phone like that in a while.
When she comes in at the end and she's like, "My daddy." You called that like what, half an hour before?
Yep.
Like it's probably her dad or something. Basically, this movie is the most cliche thing possible. Oh, and when she's like, I'm literally 2 minutes before she said it, and I was like, "We're gonna blow the mine." And she's like, "I'm gonna blow the mine and make it a 2.
Yep. Trap all of us down here.
We'll all be trapped alive down here.
Do you think? I mean, I don't think the explosion killed them. Do you think Monica and Billy fucked until they starved?
Probably.
Not Monica, Rachel.
Well, I was to say either that or they all became cannibals now.
Oh man, now there's 2 cannibals and a bunch of cannibal babies.
They're a big cannibal family.
Do you want to do broken bulb, brilliant bulb?
Sure.
One thing you would fix and one thing you want to shout out.
Okay. Well, my one thing I would fix would be, could we have some mutant cannibal in this mutant cannibal movie, please? And we needed him to show up a lot more often. we needed the 5-minute exposition backstory dump to occur throughout the movie instead of just all at the end, so you actually know what this guy is doing and why. And yeah, just have him show up. You don't even have to show him that much if you don't like the effect or whatever, or you think it's weak. Have him be in the shadows like before, or have the POV shots with him watching them or whatever, going through the mine. But honestly, the reason I think they couldn't do that was because they basically set the mine as 2 different stages, and they just had to move back and forth between them. And so it's like, well, he could only stock them from so many places on those 2 sets. And so it's like, well, once he's looked at them once through the bars or whatever, that's pretty much it. And also, get rid of the comically slow mine lift thing that he uses. It's like, what the hell?
I know, I did not understand the point of that at all.
Just have him disappear like a regular slasher.
I think they thought it would be a cool kill, and then it just took forever for it to do anything.
You know, even if they'd just done that one, we probably could have let that slide. But when he actually rides it back up... It's like, Jesus, really? We need to see this? It's also like when we saw fucking Cameron Mitchell pacing around his house talking to himself for like 10 minutes. It's like, okay, this is the kind of thing we could have like a minute flash of or whatever and be fine.
So I had a joke answer, which was Mungo died too soon. That's my broken bulb.
That is true.
But my actual broken bulb was pretty much the same thing. We barely see the monster at all.
You know, it's basically, he's not even there. It's basically just trapped in a cave movie.
All right, what's your brilliant bulb? What's one thing you want to praise for this movie?
My brilliant bulb praising this was just the overall set design of the mine. I thought even though they obviously had a limited budget and limited space to work with, it still looked fairly nice and convincing. And it had that was one of the things that made it the weird... Basically, this movie is all the wrong choices being made, I think, because you have what could be a good movie here, and then they just like choose to do the opposite of what they should have. It's like they had a nice, convincing mindset. It was very atmospheric, like they were trapped underground, and that just never really factors into it. Nobody's like, "Oh my God, we're trapped" or anything like that. They're just like, we're hanging out down here.
Mine was Sullivan Hester. Yeah. I thought she did a really good job as Robin. You know, as we said at the beginning, this is her only IMDb credit. Like, I don't know what else she's doing, but like, I watched this and I was like, she could have been a star. I mean, we've seen worse actresses and things. Like, she could have been a scream queen or something. Like, she could have gotten work. I really enjoyed it. Like there were some line reads by some of the other actors where I'm like, oh, you couldn't have taken that again. But I thought Sullivan Hester, like, she seemed pretty committed to to acting in this movie.
I mean, in comparison to Officer Billy Williams and Hot Rod Boy, she was a genius.
I was gonna say Monica.
Well, Monica was just... I mean, we all know why Monica was in the movie.
Monica's got some line reads that are just like the flattest delivery, and and Sullivan, like Robin, has some, at the same point, like, acting opposite her just really seems to care about, like, this movie, which, Christmas spirit, how Christmassy is the movie, how Christmassy are the kills?
Kills, not Christmassy at all. Movie, I would say, really not Christmassy at all either.
No, I mean, none of the kills are Christmassy. The Christmassy things that are worth shouting out.
I mean, basically just the Christmas party.
The Christmas party looks like a blast.
Yeah.
There's a scene at the scene that Jeff keeps talking about where Cameron Mitchell's walking around the house. That, like, all the lights are off in the house, but the Christmas lights are on, and so, like, those scenes are really cool. Like, I was like, oh, I'd like to see a movie that's more about what's going on here. Yeah. Like, but where maybe there was a scene where he, like, walked by the Christmas tree, and it felt like that scene in The Leech where David is sitting there with the gun, and like and his face is just like wreathed in the red Christmas lights. Like, felt very much like that scene.
Yeah, he did. Especially when he's on the phone at the end and it's got like the green flash in his face. That looked cool too. And
then there was we had that We Three Kings played as that was the only, I think, Christmas song in the entire movie.
And so it's like, basically this movie could have been set at any time. It doesn't really matter.
But it was it certainly, I think, had to be winter to kind of, for kind of some of the stuff to make sense, or for the car to have trouble getting up the hill and stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Well, I mean, they could have just had it rain and be muddy.
True, that's a good point. But then I will say this is a Christmas movie set in Wisconsin,
Yep.
and unlike Silent Night 2012, there's actually snow on the ground.
That's true.
That's a movie that's also set in Wisconsin at Christmas time, and there is no snow on the ground in the entire movie.
But we'll say minimal Christmas for this one, I think.
So yeah, I think we'll get to some that are maybe a little less, but like it's a low bar to pass, but they just made it.
Yeah. You are technically Christmas, which is the best kind of Christmas.
Final rating. We rate these movies off of 1 to 3 categories. I think you can already kind of guess. But those are ho 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 hilarious. Those are seasonally scary, and those are you will be sorry.
All right. You want to go first or me?
You could go first.
All right. I rated this seasonally scary because it was terrifyingly bad. No, it's definitely you will be sorry. There's basically no reason to watch this movie. I mean, you're not going to get what you were promised. There is really no cannibal monster. It's basically just a bunch of people standing around in a cave who then there's like one of the worst things about it, honestly, is there's like no urgency or plot driving at all. Like they just get trapped in the cave and they just kind of sit there until by circumstance they're able to escape. It's like they don't really act like they want to get out, or that it's like, we're trapped here underground and our supplies are running out. It's like they have plenty of food and water apparently, because nobody ever talks about that. They've got power because they fixed the generator. So it's like we're basically just hanging out here until somebody finds us, which is like it doesn't really make a great horror movie.
We've said it, or Jeff certainly said it earlier. I mean, this is a you'll be sorry.
Definitely.
There's a good idea somewhere in this movie. We were promised. I'll read kind of the synopsis or the description of the movie. On a wintry night, friends Robin and Monica are making their way to a Christmas party when they are carjacked by a gang of crooks recently escaped from the local penitentiary. With the 2 young women taken hostage, things take an even darker turn when their vehicle plummets down an old abandoned mine shaft, trapping the group underground and at the mercy of a mutant with a taste for human flesh.
Yep.
We are promised.
We promised a lot and delivered very little.
We are promised a mutant with a taste for human flesh, and we are given 2 minutes of it.
And we're giving a shambling old man, basically, who doesn't even really seem like he cares if he eats these people or not.
No, I would have had the mutant be much more prevalent in the movie. I would have had, it stalk them through the mine, and we watch it as it happens. At one point, Monica says, when we talked about that silhouette scene, like Monica's like, I feel something moving, and then we're supposed to think that it was Mungo's body.
Yeah.
But then there's nothing. And then at one point, Hot Rod Boy's like, oh, remember Monica said she felt something moving? I think it's the cannibal mutant or whatever.
Which how would that work?
Right. And it would, none of them could see it. But I would have just had more cannibal mutant. I would have had more of that stalking them through the mine and less of face. And I would have almost rather had them be 5 friends going to a party. And then one of the guys a cocksure guy's like, oh, I know a shortcut. We'll cut across here. They wind up plummeting into the mine, and they get stalked and picked off one by one. I would have rather had that.
That would have been definitely more interesting. But it's in a survival situation like this, if you want it to be like horror where they have to make these hard choices and it's scary, you got to limit supplies. And so they should have been talking about how they have no food or water or whatever. They should have not been able to get the generator working. So they would have had to rely on the oil lanterns or whatever. And so when you run out of oil, you run out of light. So they'd have to ration how much they used them. Mm-hmm. And so, it's like, oh, we're all sitting here in the dark, or we're trying to find our way out in the dark. And it's like, have them, when they light up the lantern to see their way forward or whatever, then silhouetted in the back, you could see the cannibal mutant, just barely behind them or whatever, stalking them down the mine. Mm-hmm. And it's just when somebody's like, oh, let's stop for a rest break or whatever. And then it's and somebody doesn't come back.
Yep.
The rest break. Stuff like that. It's basically the slasher 101 thing, but they just don't do any of it in this movie.
All right, we get 2 minutes of that
Yeah.
in our entire film.
And it would be better, even if it was just the 2 minutes, if he was not riding that ridiculous claw machine.
If you want to do the thing where the escaped prisoners like take these people hostage, go for more of an Alone in the Dark thing. Like Face's performance kind of reminds me of Alone in the Dark anyway. Like, give us more of just like prisoners going after people and something like. It said it at Christmas, like that when I kind of called back to Cameron Mitchell's house, like walking through. I would have loved that scene where like 3 prisoners are going to get the lawyer that put them away and his family. And they're trying to survive as like the prisoners are breaking in and stalking them through like a lit Christmas house. Like, I think that would have been an interesting movie. Just, we didn't get anything like that. Like,
I mean, even if you're limited by your budget and you can't do the stalking through the mine idea or whatever, just do the standard like 1-room movie. It's like they're all trapped in this cavern with no way to get out, and 3 of them are hardened criminals or whatever, or 2 of them. And then we've got the hostages and the police officer. And it's like, okay, so the cannibal mutant comes every night or whatever. And it's like, so who are we going to sacrifice tonight?
Yep.
It's like, so obviously the prisoners would be like, all right, well, like Monica would probably be the first one they throw up there. And it's like, so basically every night he eats somebody, and it becomes the game of who gets eaten, who gets sacrificed or whatever every night.
That would have been a more. There are so many more interesting things they could have done, and instead we got this, and it's just unfortunate. Like,
I mean, we just came up with 2 better movies just off the top of our head.
But yeah, just a real unfortunate. You'll be sorry, because the premise sounded amazing.
It had so much promise and yet delivered nothing.
Well, do you want to figure out who we're putting on the naughty list and where we're putting them?
I mean, we really should put the lady on the naughty list, because she's the one who orchestrated this entire thing.
Well, that was my thing. Was we like to take our villains and we like to rank them on a naughty list, and I was like, well, is it the cannibal mutant? Is it Rachel? And I think it's got to be both of them, right? Like, I
mean, both of them, but I mean more so Rachel, because the cannibal mutant seems basically incapable of taking care of himself. And I mean, his big weakness was getting stabbed. So
stabbing, my only weakness.
So he'd be pretty low on the list. I mean, honestly, he seems less physically capable than like a Brooklyn Santa.
I was gonna say, I literally wrote below To All a Good Night on my.
Yeah, honestly, I think Brooklyn Santa could probably kick his ass.
All right. Well, so yeah, we're just below. I think that's the way to put him below
him below that. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, below to All a Good Night Santas. So yeah, let's do what we always do and open our email inbox or shove a bunch of crap in our faces in a segment we like to call
Garbage Day. Huh? No.
All right, and Jeff, I can kind of see you eyeing him when I brought our treat in this week, because we don't have an email again. I kind of saw you eyeing him. We're gonna try. We're summer boys. We are. We got that real summer boy attitude, and because we're summer boys, it's only right that we sample the new Mountain Dew Baja variants.
Oh boy!
So we've got Mountain Dew, the original Baja Blast.
Yes.
We've got Mountain Dew Baja Caribbean Splash.
Nice.
And we got Mountain Dew Baja Passion Fruit Punch.
Sweet.
So I
wonder which Baja will be best.
I mean, it's going to be the regular, right? Like, that's the best one?
Maybe. I don't know. The regular is getting pretty familiar these days.
Ooh, Caribbean Splash has a kind of a neat little scent to it.
It used to be more interesting back when you could only get it at Taco Bell. Now you can get it everywhere. So let's try this new flavor. All right.
So that one's Caribbean Splash.
Ready?
Yep. I'm trying to maybe a fruit punchy kind of scent to it.
Something like that.
It says Dew with a blast of natural and artificial guava flavors.
It's very good. I like it.
It got a little bit of a bite to it. I kind of noticed. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yep, I like it.
No, it's not too bad.
Pretty solid dew.
You ready for the next one?
Sure.
All right. Next one we're gonna do is passion fruit punch.
Oh boy, I hope I don't get hit too hard.
All right, it's supposed to smell like passion fruit. I guess I don't know what passion fruit smells like.
I was gonna say, you could pretty much give me anything and tell me it smelled like passion fruit.
I do kind of like the smell.
It's got a good smell.
It's the Caribbean Splash is kind of a reddish, like a pinkish color. The passion fruit punch is more of a purple color,
All right.
but it's not as dark as a blackout. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also good.
I I don't know. Kind of not a fan.
It's got a weird flavor to it.
It's
I don't know.
it almost doesn't taste like anything to me. Like, I think it smells really good, but
Yeah.
the flavor is almost kind of non-existent,
Yeah, not really a strong flavor.
which is that's unfortunate because I really liked the smell. Last one we're gonna do, as we said earlier, is classic Baja. Our tropical lime flavor. Jeff and I, if listener, if you couldn't guess, Jeff and I are big Taco Bell guys.
Yeah, I mean, you should have known by now. I had to be lifted onto this chair.
When we're not glued to the toilet, we're from eating at Taco Bell.
Pretty much in between our toilet excursions and eating at Taco Bell, we record the show.
All right, it smells like Baja Blast.
Yeah.
It tastes like Baja Blast.
Solid.
I mean, the one thing I've encountered is, I think a lot of people agree, like fountain drink Baja Blast tastes better than bottled Baja Blast.
Almost always.
Every once in a while you'll get like pretty much the only way Baja Blast tastes worse in the fountain is if it's like already at the end of the line and it's kind of already like really watered down.
Yeah, the weak mix ones definitely, but yeah, generally the bottled and canned ones are not as good.
Real fast before we do our ranking of the three flavors, what are your opinions on like bottles versus cans versus fountain versus?
I would say generally for me, cans usually have the best flavor. Plastic bottles are pretty much just neutral. Fountain drinks can be very hit or miss. I think it just depends on the flavor you're getting and also what life cycle it's at or whatever. If you're at the end of the bag, then it's going to be bad.
Glass bottles above cans?
Yeah, I'd say glass bottles are probably the best overall.
So my kind of thought, if it's Coke products, I like to do like fountain and like can kind of right at the top. It, like you said, it kind of depends on the life of the fountain drink. But like fountain and can and like maybe glass bottle kind of in between those, just depending on the situation. And then plastic bottles, the last one. Inversely, for Pepsi products, I prefer the bottles to I prefer the plastic bottles to the cans because I think the can like brings out more of the sweetness of the Pepsi product.
Yeah.
And the bottle kind of mutes it a little bit, and Pepsi's already sweeter than Coke products usually are anyway.
Yeah.
And so like for a Pepsi product, I prefer a bottle. For a Coke product, I prefer a can.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just because cans make it like colder, taste colder overall or what, but
yeah, you can pick up kind of a room temperature can and it has a little bit of chill to it. Yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, I do drink most of my especially Mountain Dew out of 2-liter bottles. Coke, I usually try to get the cans if I can, but I mean, usually cost effective wise, this has to be the 2-liter plastic bottle still. But if I have my choice, I'd say I probably drink mostly out of cans.
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm trying to cut back on pop drinking. My wife and I are trying to be healthy, but we bought a like a 12-pack of cans, And like, we'd been good for a while. We bought a 12-pack of cans, and I think they were gone in like 2 days.
Nice.
So, all that good work undone in a matter of like 24 hours, 48 hours.
Well, you know me, the health nut that I am. My concern has been more with just the incredible increase in cost it takes to drink pop anymore. It's like the standard pack of cans, because we got a pack of the passion fruit punch cans, which I haven't drank any of yet, but that was $7.83, I think, when you factor in the deposits for the cans. And it's like, that's going to last me, once I open it, probably a day.
Right.
Because I'll drink a couple, and then my wife will drink a couple, and I'm sure some other will get, it's like...
So someone will stop by, and,
And it's like, that's just ridiculous for that amount that you're getting.
So, you want to rank these?
Okay, I'm going to say passion fruit probably at the bottom. Just because it didn't really have that strong of a flavor.
No, the scent, like we said, the scent was amazing.
No, they all smell good. I'm going to say... I'll do the Caribbean Splash at number 2. Original Baja still number 1, I think.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, if we were going on smell alone, I mean, it'd be passion fruit punch. I thought that had the best scent of the 3, but completely lacking in the flavor department. Caribbean Splash was fine, kind of middle of the road. Like I said, had kind of a weird bite to it, I thought, which I mean was neat, but it wasn't expected. And the Baja's Baja. Like,
yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't think really any of the Baja flavors they put out have ever surpassed the original. But I mean, this one's not bad. As I said, if you get a chance to pick up some of the Splash, I mean, go ahead.
I was gonna say better. I think all 3 of these are better than when they did this last year. I think there was like a yellow one and maybe an orange one.
Oh yeah, those were not very good.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of either.
I mean, the orange one was better than the pineapple one, but still, neither one of them was that good.
Oh, I really like a pineapple soda. Jeff and I used to go to Quick Trip, Quick Star, and get Faygo pineapple, and like that stuff's amazing. But so I was like, oh, a pineapple dew, that'll be great, and it was so disappointing.
That's what we were really looking forward to, and I think that made it worse too.
Speaking of Mountain Dew, I mean, of course, in a couple months when Voodoo 2023 comes out, Jeff and I will sample that and other Halloween goodies on the air as we rev up to spooky season. And then, of course, Cobra Cane is on the horizon. Candy cane flavored Mountain Dew.
Ah, yes. Well, since I believe I will have a more free schedule later on this year, I think this might be our first Halloween spooktacular this October.
Yeah, we might. Yeah, we'll talk. I think more about that in 2 weeks as we hit our 1 year anniversary, our 1 year birthday.
I was gonna say, how can this have even been going on for a year?
I know, it's hard to believe. But yeah, we'll talk more about that. We got that coming up. I guess now might be as good a time as any to kind of spoil. We'll let people know in advance. We're going to be doing a Christmas horror story for our 1 year anniversary. About 2.5 years ago now, we recorded our first episode.
Yeah.
And it was a Christmas horror story. As you know, if you listen to the show, that wasn't our first episode.
Yep.
And so we kind of decided as a tribute, as an homage to what could have been, we're going to do that for our 1 year anniversary.
I still love that episode. We might have to dig it out of the vault someday.
Yeah, see if we can do something with it. But yeah, I feel like enough time's passed, and I thought it'd be kind of a fun little tribute. So yeah, that'll be coming in 2 weeks. In the meantime, check us out on...
Improbably, William Shatner is still alive.
Right? Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Threads, TikTok, at horror4 holidays. Also the Q app, which kind of spins the wheel and decides what movie we're going to watch when we don't have a predetermined one to pick from.
We don't have the will to choose.
When we, it tells us if we should watch Xmas or Red Christmas.
Or the undetermined movie that Jay ruined.
Oh man, I hope we can remember the name when it pops back up.
Oh, we'll definitely remember the name. I'm pretty sure I do remember the name.
All right,
I just didn't want to disappoint people with what could have been.
All right, and but But yeah, follow us all those places. And on Twitter, certainly when we on Friday nights when Joe Bob is airing on Shudder, The Last Drive-In, we like to, or I like to get on and tweet along with it. Follow us there and interact with us there. That's always a fun thing to do.
YouTube.com/horror for the holidays. Follow us for audio backups of the episodes, and just if you want to leave comments or whatever, go ahead. Jeff and Jay fat. Jeff and Jay eat a lot of Taco Bell. Jeff needs a less rickety lift so it doesn't make all those clicking sounds on the mic.
Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast.
5-star, terrible show.
Especially if you've got a complaint. 5-star review. These guys suck and eat way too much Taco Bell. I can hear them farting in their chairs. 5 stars. I hate that because we'll only read the 5-star reviews. So.
Oh, I know everyone's been clamoring for a Noble update, so why don't you give them a Noble update?
Oh yeah, my dog Noble. The other day we. My wife and kids and I went to go look for a new car, and Noble was left home alone for about 5 hours, and he's really calmed down since we moved in here and kind of have been working on stuff, and came home and discovered that he'd clawed away at the wall next to our basement door for some reason. So
it's the most delicious door.
So now he's back to being kenneled. As he has a history of destroying doors.
Yes, he's a big old door-eating dog.
At our apartment where where my wife and I live, Jeff and I record our first couple episodes there. At that apartment, one day we came home and Noble had destroyed the front door to the apartment, and strangely we were able to fix it enough. We got most of our deposit back.
That was amazing.
Yeah, they were none the wiser. I mean,
oh my god, that patch job was insane.
I'm still pretty impressed. I think that's some of the best work I've ever done.
Easily top 10, way better than this show.
Yeah, certainly better than the editing job I do on this podcast, or the talking job I do on this podcast.
Wait a minute, we're doing a podcast? I thought we were just hanging out.
I mean, essentially, that's kind of what this is. It's just an excuse for us to hang out. Well,
I wouldn't be talking about all my crazy QAnon conspiracies if I knew we were on there.
Oh, man. Only you, Jeff. So, yeah, we'll see y'all again in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.
Bye.